So be it, Jedi.
What's going on, guys? Back in another video, another episode of Read It or Skip It. And this one is a little different. Today we have the 4 Old Republic novels. And instead of just letting you know whether you should read it or skip it, I'm going to rank them based on what I thought was my best and the worst. So starting off chronologically, we have Revan by Drew Karpyshyn. Now, I think everybody in the Star Wars community knows who Revan is. I mean, he's pretty beloved. And Drew Karpyshyn wrote the Darth Bane novels. And to this day, those are my favorite Star Wars books. So you would go into this expecting an awesome book. And it's not a bad book by any means. The issue I have with this book is it takes place after Revan was redeemed and after he was the badass Sith Lord that we associate him with. I never played the Old Republic books, so I really don't have the entire understanding of Revan and his story. I mean, I know he willingly joined the dark side and everything else, but him and Malak being Sith Lords was badass. This really isn't the story that's told in this book. So this is a lot of people's favorite, and I'm kind of the odd man out here because this isn't my favorite, but it's also not the worst. Overall, good book. I enjoyed it. You should definitely read it if you haven't, and it's the first one in the 4-book series chronologically. Disclaimer, these books really aren't like sequels to each other. They're just set in the Old Republic timeline. So there really is no right or wrong way to read them. You could pick up the last book and read it first. There really isn't a set story told from A to B throughout the books. The second book, chronologically, is Deceived by Paul S. Kemp. And as you can tell, this is Malgus, Darth Malgus. If you've watched the Old Republic cinematics, he is the one that went into the Jedi Temple and just wrecked shit. I mean, he is a badass. He is a brute. Again, I've never played those games, but I've watched the cinematics, and just because of that, I could tell that I knew I was going to like this book. And yeah, it's a great book. Definitely, I mean, Malgus isn't like 50% of it. He's like one of the main characters. It goes through the entire sacking of Coruscant sequence, and you get more information about that. It's just awesome. I mean, this book is really good. You should definitely check it out. The third book chronologically, and I think this is actually the largest book. Yeah, this book is almost 500 pages. Fatal Alliance. This book has got so much stuff going on that it's hard to even give you a summary of it. A lot of people consider this their least favorite book. It's not a bad book. It's just all over the place. I mean, by the end of it, there's so many things that have happened that you don't really know the point of the story, and it's just weird. And the last book, chronologically, Annihilation, again, by Drew Karpyshyn. Great book. The last book in the series. It's more of an espionage book. There really isn't a whole lot of lightsaber battles going on, which is a good thing sometimes. It's a very character-driven story. You follow a few characters, and you're with them the whole time, and yeah, it's a good book. You should definitely check it out. So now that I've given you the overview of what the books are and order and whatnot, let's go over my ranking tier from my favorite book to the one that is just the worst. So my favorite book is obviously Deceived. This book is awesome. I mean, Darth Malgus is one of my favorite Sith Lords. I mean, EU or not, I think he's a badass. I really enjoyed this book from start to finish. It's a great story, and I just love badass Sith characters. I mean, this gives me Darth Bane vibes. And as I said before, the Darth Bane trilogy are my favorite books. So, really good book. Definitely check it out. My second favorite book is actually Annihilation, the last book chronologically. As I said, I just love this story, and I love how much we get to spend with the characters and how there's such character conflict because you have one side here and one side there, and somehow they're involved, and it just ties to the main character, and it was just different. You know, it's an espionage story. I really enjoyed it. Now, I could be a little biased because it's the last one I read, but overall, solid book. I mean, as I said, it's my second favorite for a reason. Third favorite is going to be Revan. I know this is probably everybody's favorite. Overall, it's a really good book, and I could probably go back and reread it or just touch up on it, and it might change my opinion. It might make it number 2. But the fact that this just takes place after Revan was a Sith Lord, and the ending is a big twist, which props to them. That's good storytelling. But I wish we could have seen a story where Revan was a Sith Lord. I don't know. I guess it's my fault for not playing the Old Republic games, and I guess those that had played it really enjoyed this story because they knew everything that happened prior. But overall, it's just I guess I had high expectations. I guess you could say that. Higher expectations than what it turned out to be. And my least favorite book of the series is going to be Fatal Alliance. As I said, this book is pretty unanimously agreed upon to be the worst of the 4 books. Plot's just all over the place. They got so much stuff going on that's weird. I mean, it was a good story, as I said. It wasn't bad. It wasn't boring. There were some elements that were genuinely probably pretty original. Like I said, it wasn't a bad story. I've definitely read way worse books than this. It's just, it was overly ambitious, I guess. I don't know how to put it. Still not a bad book. You should probably just read them all. Don't skip this, but there's a reason that people say this is the worst book. Anyway, guys, that's my review / rank of the Old Republic novels. And yeah, if you haven't checked them out, definitely do that. There's some good stories, and the Old Republic is like one of my favorite time periods because none of the characters that are discussed and talked about are characters we see in the films. So like, it's a breath of fresh air. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, check out more videos, and we'll see you in the next one.